Conformity Gate didn't happen. And now the internet is up in flames right now because of Michael B. Jordan being snubbed for his role in Sinners. And I'm feeling a little existential right now because film is one of the most important things in the world to me. And I just love the medium. I love watching films. I love making films. I remember whenever I was in college, I did a lot of work on indie films, and people for weeks when we were working together would just notice how I always had a smile on my face. I could be getting coffee, or I could be moving cables, or I could be putting down tape. I could be watching items in a truck and still just be happy to be there. But unfortunately, as of late, I feel like the magic of cinema is dying. Not only in cinema, but the magic of literary art is dying. I know it might seem really dramatic, but it feels like people don't care anymore when they're making stuff. It's like they're just so worried about the bottom line. How many butts can we get into the seats? How many downloads, how many streams can we get? That people don't even care about what they're making anymore. That they can make 2 great seasons of television and then they're offered another thing, and then all of a sudden that great show just falls off. Or they're already ready to move on to the next show that it's not a smooth landing at the end of the show. It is a lot of turbulence and then a crash landing. And the thing that breaks my heart about it, it's like they forgot why they do it. I remember the magic that I would feel every single time we would go to the movies. And it doesn't matter if I was watching an animated film, an action film, or a musical or a drama. If the story was beautiful and filled with characters who we could get behind, made with cinematography that was innovative and reflected the mindset of the characters, that the background, like the set and the set decorations and the costuming and all of those beautiful things had so much care. And yeah, there are filmmakers and costume designers that still care, but it feels like there's more people who don't care than there are who care. I'm not saying that everyone who's in the film industry or anyone who's attached to a movie that doesn't do well doesn't care, because that's not fair. Cast and crews are really big, and there are people who are like me and who are smiling, getting coffee, or breaking down C stands, or polishing a table so the fingerprints aren't in the reflection. just happy to be there. But now with all the things like AI and remakes and IP just taking over, it makes me feel like I am watching a friend that I love more than words can express just slowly die. And it's hard to watch, you know? Because when did we lose that love of film? When did we lose that fighting spirit? Because I know for certain that we will never see a film like Mean Streets again. Or we'll never have another Bronx Tale, or never have another Do the Right Thing, or just movies that people make because they love what they do. When it comes to books, we're not going to have those moments where someone is explaining the concept of a 3 a.m. Who's your 3 a.m. person? And that there's going to be more books that just want to fill in the blanks that were left behind by better writers. I'm talking about AI. Or that, people just want to copy stories that people spent years working on. I gotta stop crying. Because it's frustrating, because I remember those moments when I was young being taken to the movies and how beautiful it was. Those moments of excitement being in Blockbuster with my parents on certain Fridays where where they had money, like extra money for us to go and pick the movies. Those stories that made me feel excited when I watched it. But now it's like we don't even care anymore. It's like no one cares to be innovators. And whenever people are innovators, they punish them. They give the awards to films that have stories that have been told multiple times before. And the stories that are new and fresh, they don't. And I'm not saying the movies that are awarded aren't good, but they're not the most unique. Sorry, I had to stop and take a break to wipe my nose. When I tear up my nostrils, my sinuses open, and it becomes everyone's problem. I know that's TMI, but just for the abrupt cut. But I the last film that I was excited about was Sinners. And before you guys jump down my throat and just think that I only like it because it's a black movie, first, did you even see Sinners? And then secondly, not every black person likes films that are released by every black person. There is a man who rhymes with Siler Sherry who a lot of black people don't like his films. But that's a conversation for another day. I liked Sinners because it had a story, and it was a story about vampires, but it played with a lot of themes: religious guilt, coming of age, came. Ooh, this one is a little heavy, but it plays with the theme of losing your connection to your ancestry whenever you turn it in for power. And that came in the form of Remick. Spoke about hoodoo, spoke about life as a sharecropper. Yeah, the fact that he had to use these, they had people paying with wooden coins. Yeah, that's what would happen. Slavery was it was over, but they would often pay them with wooden coins that were good to use in their general stores. That made it possible for them to pay. Yeah, you didn't know that part of the history. I just wanted to go into better detail about sharecropping. The reason why in the film they had those wooden coins that stack was no. That was Smoke. Smoke was upset about them using was because whenever slavery ended, a lot of the former slave owners kept on the freedmen as employees. But instead of paying them with actual money that they could use out in society to better their own lives, they paid them in with wooden coins that were only good in their general store. Well, what they paid them versus what things cost in the general store had them in like a consistent deficit. So they were always indebted to the slave owners, which kept people in the cycle of slavery. So that's our history. But that's not the point. The fact that Remick wanted Sammy so badly so he could finally connect with his ancestry that he had abandoned to get power when he was being persecuted for being Irish. It's a very, very tragic story and innovative. I feel like I feel like Ryan Coogler is like my cousin, like my spiritual cousin. His people are from California. My people are from California. Well, via my mom. That's a long story. But anyway, so whenever I hear him talk, it's like he gets it. And whenever I saw this film, I was like, man, this guy he cares. And he cared with Creed as well because I did a full cinematography breakdown on the first Creed and I got an A. But that's not the point of the story. What I'm saying is, I feel like we have gotten to the place when it comes to cinema that we don't care anymore. Especially the people who are making all the decisions and investing in projects, they don't care anymore. And once people get a little bit of power, they, like Remick, they abandon their connection for power. And instead of their ancestry that they abandon their love of film for power. Bringing it back to my initial topic, I I think the reason I wanted Conformity Gate to be a thing was I didn't want for it to end the way it did. And before you guys go off and be like, oh, you must be illiterate. Yeah, there are some people. But the thing that I love to say is more than one thing can be true at once. Yes, there are some people who are criticizing very minute things. Yes, the illiteracy and lack of media literacy and all of those problems, they are on the rise. A lot of children have been left behind. That is very true. But then there are some people who do not like the finale because they are readers and they are writers and they see the holes. And one of the things I'll be talking about in this class is how to drop seeds in your story, leave breadcrumbs. I'm going to make a quick a quick Love Island reference, but the reason why Nicolandria was so popular was because there were little seeds here and there. So, shared looks, inside jokes. Even though the creators tried to hide their relationship. Actually, this past week, we found out that they took a cute photo booth picture in week 1. But just because, but we didn't need to make up things in our head because we saw things. So, shared looks, jokes. The way that Nick looked whenever Jalen came into town. The soul ties kiss. You cannot fake a look like that. You but that's neither here nor there. So, whenever you have to make up something in your head to justify a decision that was made in a show, that wouldn't make any sense. And calling someone illiterate, and then also, as a person who works with children, who has worked with students who are non-readers, and who knows other teachers who works with older people. It sounds very condescending whenever you are saying that someone does not have a right to an opinion because they are dumb. Because they have not been given the tools that they need to be successful. And unfortunately, again, two things can be true at once. There are people who do not have media literacy, but it's not their fault because they have been brought up. So I'm not saying that everything that is being said is valid because, again, but it's not their fault. And the nuance of this conversation is very frustrating because there are some people who will never learn how to read, who have dropped out of school, like older people who dropped out of school in the 8th grade to help provide for their family. My grandfather was one of those people. Education, college, that wasn't for everyone. But, just because someone can't read doesn't mean they can't follow a story. And at the same time, if you are giving out bad stories or putting out stories that are where they have to spoon feed people everything and there's no space for context clues, then of course the media literacy is going to go down. And then also, for all of those people, and it's not everyone, again. This is a very nuanced conversation. There are people who are claiming, oh, you should know. You should be able to assume what happened. But assumptions in film, if you have to make up a story in your mind for why this makes sense, then obviously the story doesn't make sense. So, yes, there is some space for subtext. I love subtext. I eat up subtext. That's why I'm having such a great time watching the new Percy Jackson series, because there's a whole lot of subtext, because we see the problem that each character has, and then we see the problem that each character has, and then that problem looms over the entire season. Like, for example, and then I'm gonna get back to the why I'm lamenting. But Clarice. Clarice was given a prophecy, and the prophecy is told that she is going to fly home alone. So her flying home alone would make her not want to have someone that she's not going to want to have anybody in her quest because she doesn't want to lose anybody. That's one of the reasons why she wanted to fight the prophecy so she wouldn't lose her crew. That's also another reason why she wouldn't give up to the fleece. She wouldn't give up the fleece because in the prophecy, she was going to fly home alone. So she knew that Annabeth was going to die. Why give up the fleece? Because she's going to die anyway. And then also, why would I fly home to people that I know who's there, but I'm going to give it up and give up the fleece, and now they're doomed as well. So you guys aren't going to survive. The people at home aren't going to survive. And I just love that decision that was made to allow that prophecy to loom over the whole series. Not the series, the whole season. For the book readers, you know that the prophecy is a little more nuanced than that, but I that's how you breadcrumb. That's how you breadcrumb. That's how you drop hints. That's how you plant seeds. That is But long story short, I wanted it to be I wanted Conformity Gate to be real because I wanted to believe that creativity was not gone, because all we do is IP. All that we had to do, all we do right now is IP and book adaptations. And here's the thing, I love a good book adaptation. I was just raving about Percy Jackson, but it's like we're more worried about making money than making art. Because one thing that I know is that film, art, music, books, those things can save people's lives. So whenever I was lamenting about how I could have been a doctor, it's again, I just wanted to give you a little background because I cut out the doctor part. I wanted to be a cardiovascular surgeon in high school, and the reason why I ended up leaving that path behind was because I went to a summer program with a lot of young artists and actors and singers and all of that, and I started to believe that it was possible for me. And that completely changed my trajectory. And now I am a filmmaker and a writer and a teacher. So, yeah. And even if I did become a doctor, I don't think I would have been completely happy because film is the thing that makes my heart sing. So, all right, back to the video. It's that heartbreak of I feel like I'm fighting a losing battle because people don't care anymore. And when I say people, I guess people will just take whatever film they're given. People will just, make whatever and they expect people to watch it, and then people do. People rely on IP and fan service and just to make money, and it's like, where's your whimsy? Where's that love that you had for film? Where's that childlike wonder you used to have? Sorry. But I remember those magical moments whenever I would watch a film and I would talk about it for hours with my godfather. He was my movie buddy whenever I was a kid. He would take me and my siblings to watch movies when my parents would work during the summer. And just those magical moments and those long conversations about character and plot and those emotional beats. We would have conversations about movies that I loved and then the movies that I didn't like. I remember the first movie that he ever did that with. That he ever asked me about was Journey to the Center of the Earth by Brendan Fraser. And I was surprised that he asked me because, I was a kid and I didn't really, people, when you're a kid, people don't really ask your opinions on things, but I had a lot of them. Then ultimately, I had a great time watching the movie. And it was a kid's movie. It was a kid's adventure movie, but at the end of the day, at the heart of it was a story about two people, an uncle and a nephew, who were grieving a father and a brother and how they came together and formed their own bond. And I loved it because I didn't know what it was like to lose a father, but I did know what it was like to have a parent child relationship with an uncle. And they captured that beautifully. And even though I was a kid, it meant everything. And I'm not saying that all movies are trash now. That's not true. But I feel like we lost the whimsy. We should want to make new stories. We should want to innovate. We should not want to hang out with AI. AI could never capture the heart of humanity. AI is just this system that takes what is popular and add to it. So my dog is, and then they're going to fill it in by what's popular. My dog is barking. Yeah, my dog is barking. What does that have to do with the story? I don't know. It's filling it in. And it's just, I'm going to tag a video who can explain it better below. But we are getting, people are like, oh, we're going to innovate with AI and whatnot. But guys, shouldn't we want to make our own work? Shouldn't we want to create? Shouldn't we be empowering the next generation or the generations who are already here who've always wanted to write a book, but they haven't had the tools or the knowledge to be able to do it, to write? Am I peeking the mic? Oh, thank goodness I'm not. Ooh, I was worried because I got really passionate there. But yeah, come on. We have these beautiful minds that are filled with so many thoughts and ideas and dreams, and we should want to be able to convey our own thoughts. We should stop writing our personal essays with AI. I'm talking to you, high schoolers and middle schoolers and some elementary schoolers who, depending on the school that you go to. But we should be able to write our own ideas. We should be able to defend ourselves when it comes to our thoughts. We should be able to make up a story, because we've all been telling stories since we were younger. And for all of you who are about to count yourselves out, you go on a vacation and something crazy happens and you come home and you tell people about it, you are telling a story. What we are experiencing, everyone's individual life, is a story. We all have our own weaknesses and our own strengths. We have our fears and our goals, and it's a balancing act. Our lives are balancing acts of going through things, having goals, and then fears and desires, and balancing all of it with our histories, with the relationships that we have, with what we believe about others, what we believe about ourselves. We are all stories. So, of course, we would be able to tell a story, having, living a story in itself, because whenever we're gone and we go on to the here thereafter, people are going to tell our story. Our stories, who we are, those are going to be the things that are going to be spoken about when we're gone. So, even though I could have been a doctor, I think I would have been a really good doctor. I have excellent emotional intelligence. It's one of my greatest qualities. But long story short, even though I could have been a doctor, I'm very satisfied with where I am right now as being a filmmaker, but most of all a teacher. Hello to any of my students who are watching. I am a teacher who wants to share this information that is swimming around in my head that I got from other excellent teachers. Shout out to any of my teachers who are watching this. Because art belongs to everybody. And we should want stories told by just new stories told by people. Because okay, I don't want to sound like a hater. This isn't hater foolishness, because here's the thing. A hater is a person who hates it regardless. But Marty Supreme, and I'm not saying the person that the story is based on had a boring life. I'm not saying that. And I'm not hating on the actors. What I'm saying is Marty Supreme being the best that Hollywood has to offer should never happen. I'm not saying that there isn't space for the Marty Supremes, because there is. I'm not saying, because I think there is a space for Hallmark movies. There's a space for, just silly, goofy comedies on TV shows. on TV, because art is supposed to make you feel something. But what I'm saying is, we should be in a place wherever everyone should be chasing down sinners and not disregarding how incredible that movie was. Because it was. And the people who are saying the reason why Timothée Chalamet deserves the Best Actor award is because he carried that movie on his back, that is the problem. Because everyone should be bringing their A game, not just one person. Again, this is no shade to the movie, especially since the queen herself, Fran Drescher, is in the movie. She will always be my nanny. But anyway, what I'm saying is, we should want different stories. We should have innovative stories. Because at the end of the day, there are more stories to be told. So, for all of you who want to learn how to write, I know that this was a big ramble session and I didn't write any of this down. I'm speaking purely off the dome. But if you want to learn how to write, if you want to learn what the writing process, well, at least my writing process looks like, if you want me to send you to great locations with wonderful videos and great materials and connect you to other creators that can help you on your writing journey, then stick around. Because I don't want film to die. I don't want the best story we have be about a woman selling a mop or a man playing ping pong. I'm not saying those movies are bad, but I feel like there's more that we can tell. So for all of you who have that sci-fi book that's been sitting on your shelf in your binder for a long time, to where the words are fading, and the person who keeps talking about that idea that they have but they haven't written any of it down, I promise you I've been there. For all of you who's writing a story but you feel like you can't get out of a location that you've been stuck in because you don't know what to write next. For all of you who've put down your book because of writer's block or so on and so forth, stick around, because I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to make beautiful films and stories, because I don't want film to die. I don't want books to die. I don't want art to die. Because art is the thing that heals our souls. So I know I was talking about the video and how I started it, which I did. But I think I am just going to make this my opening video. And I will go back to my original video. I'm going to release it next Tuesday. So it'll be one long story. one long video, instead of just, you know, very disconjointed. Because if I go back to this video will probably be 2 hours long. And I think that's kind of a lot for the first video. So, maybe we can work our way up to 2 hours long, but maybe we could just start with 45 minutes. But for all of you who sat and watched this video and listened to me rant and rave about how film and media is just, we're at a low right now. Thank you for watching. For all of you who are feeling the same way that I am, we'll get through this. For all of you who are thinking about quitting and becoming a doctor, please don't leave me alone with these people. But art and expression is definitely worth fighting for. So doesn't matter how many times you see AI pop up on your screen. And even those moments where you feel tired as a creative and be like, hey, I can make this with AI, don't do it. Don't do it. Have I used AI in the past? Yeah. Do I fight like hell not to do it now? Yeah. Does that make me a hypocrite? No, that makes me a person who's growing. But so allow me to introduce myself. My name is Amina Tremaine. I'm a filmmaker, a writer, but most of all, I'm a teacher. And welcome to the Film Nerd Thoughts writing series.